Welcome back to day 5 of our React Explainer. If you've been following along, you already know React is an absolute powerhouse for building scalable user interfaces. But today we are tackling the literal lifeblood of any React application, how components communicate. We're going to master props, and we're learning how to totally bulletproof them with prototypes. If you want to build dynamic, interactive UIs, well, this is exactly where the magic happens.
Okay, let's dive into this. There's a quote right here from the official React docs that perfectly captures the entire philosophy of the library. It says, React components receive data and return what should appear on the screen. Basically, it's an input-output machine. Data flows in and an interface flows out. Understanding this data flow is absolutely crucial. It's the single most important step in mastering React.
So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The component architecture. 2. Passing data with props. 3. The danger of bad data. 4. Type checking with prototypes. And finally 5. Building interactive UIs.
All right, kicking things off with section 1, the component architecture. Because before we pass any data around, we really need to understand the building blocks.
Think about the apps you use every single day. Platforms like Facebook and Netflix moved away from those messy, monolithic code bases where everything is just a tangled web of single-file HTML to a component-based UI. Actually, Facebook uses something like 50,000 independent React components. It's wild. Components act like reusable Lego blocks. You build a block once, and you can just snap it in anywhere. It gives you incredible speed and maintainability. But there's a catch here. Modularity is fantastic, for sure, but a user interface is completely useless if those blocks can't talk to each other. Independent components are isolated. I mean, think about it. What good is a video list if it can't actually tell the video player which video to play? They absolutely have to have a way to communicate. Which perfectly transitions us into section 2, passing data with props. This is how we connect those isolated components.
So what are props? Well, it's just short for properties. Think of props as the specific instructions you hand to your Lego block. They let you pass data from a parent component down to a child component. And there is one huge golden rule you have to remember here. Props are strictly read-only. A child component can read the instructions given by its parent, but it absolutely cannot change them.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how beautifully simple this transformation is. Over on the left, we've got a static component. The text first video is hard-coded in there. It's going to say first video forever. But on the right, just by injecting the title prop using JSX syntax, we instantly transform this static block into a dynamic, reusable piece of UI. Now, that exact same component can render 1,000 different video titles just by changing the prop it gets. It's a real game changer.
Let's trace this data journey in a few real-world scenarios. Say your parent component is a video list. It renders multiple child video components, passing down unique video title and thumbnail props to every single one. Or take the NewsMonkey app from our source materials. The main news app acts as the parent, passing a headline, an author, and a time down to each individual news item child component. The parent holds the data, and the child just receives it and puts it on the screen.
Moving right along to section 3, the danger of bad data. Because as you know, things don't always go according to plan.
Let me throw a little what-if your way to get those problem-solving gears turning. What happens if our meticulously crafted child component is expecting a text string for a news headline, but the parent accidentally passes down a number instead? Or maybe an undefined object?
Well, the answer is chaos. You get unpredictable bugs, silent rendering failures where the UI literally just goes blank without any warning, and ultimately a completely broken user experience. When you pass the wrong data types, it's basically like trying to snap two completely incompatible Lego blocks together. The whole structure just crashes down. We need a safety net.
And that brings us to section 4, type checking with prototypes, our ultimate safety net.
PropTypes is this incredibly handy built-in mechanism used to validate the expected data types of the props you're passing around. It's a strict quality assurance check. It essentially tells React, hey, this specific block requires a string. If someone tries to give it an array, throw a warning. It guarantees that the right blocks are snapping together exactly the way you intended. So the crucial point is how wonderfully specific you can get with these validations. Looking at our NewsMonkey app example again, you'd set the title to a string type. The page size that determines how many articles load, that definitely needs to be a number type. The list of articles itself is an array, and your loading state is a Boolean. By defining all of these, you're basically writing an ironclad contract for your component.
And here's the stark difference this makes for your developer experience. Without prototypes,
You pass bad data, and you get silent bugs that slip all the way into production. Not great. But with PropTypes, the second a parent component passes the wrong data type, React throws a highly visible, super clear warning right in your browser's developer console. It catches the bad data long before your end user ever sees a broken screen.
All right, final stretch. Section 5, Building Interactive UIs. Let's look at the big picture.
And this brilliantly illustrates how all these concepts tie together in a complete flow. Imagine you have a searchable video list component. A user types a search term into an input field. That interaction changes the data. Then, that new filtered video data is passed straight down as props to the child video components. The children receive the new props, validate them against their prototypes, and boom, the UI instantly updates to show the correct videos. It's seamless, it's predictable, and it's incredibly fast.
To summarize today's explainer, here is the exact procedure you should follow. Step 1, create your isolated component. Step 2, pass the dynamic data it needs using props. Step 3, write your contract and validate that data with prototypes. And Step 4, let React do the heavy lifting and render the UI. Keep to this blueprint and you'll be writing professional, highly maintainable React code.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought to ponder. We've established that props flow down perfectly from parent to child, and they're strictly read-only, right? But what if a component needs to remember something that changes from within itself, like a button that needs to keep track of how many times it's been clicked? If props can't change, how on earth do we handle internal memory? Well, that is exactly what we're going to uncover in our next explainer when we dive into the concept of state. Until then, keep building, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.